But if you tear down the walls that's blinding us all, you'll see the way today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Home Day episode of Sun Up on 7. Thank you so much for tuning in and for making us a part of your morning. We wish you safe travels if you're going to work, if you're going to school, if you're just getting warmed up with breakfast. Buen provecho. It's time for us to start our show, so let's have a look at the weather, courtesy of the Belize Met Service.
Good morning. Generally fair weather prevails and will support sunny skies with cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers will be isolated and will continue Thursday and Thursday night. Winds today will blow from the east and northeast, 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight. Low tides occur at 6:37 this morning and 6:38 tonight. High tides follow at 12:44 this afternoon and 1:06 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon peak at 82 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 88 along the coast, and 96 inland. The moon comes up at 2:12 this afternoon, and sunset is at 6:16 this evening. In the sargassum forecast, more sargassum is expected to drift onto beaches during the next few days. In the fire forecast, the fire risk around the country is at a high level and will remain so during the next 24 hours. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
That's our weather update.
Weather.
Yes, you should be expecting some more warm weather. You know, I realized that a lot of people rise with the sun.
Really?
It's it was quite busy this morning coming into the city.
Oh,
And early at
interesting.
6 o'clock when you would experience it in the cold front time, you barely see people on the
Although
street.
because cold front, you don't want it up. You just want to
Rise up
enjoy
with
the
the
good
sun,
stuff that comes with, that nice weather, whatever it is. At the time, all the sweaters they pull out, the blankets they pull out, everything. And
So
you're just
everything is
enjoying.
stored back, getting
and
dust,
then
and getting
when
ready
when
for
it's
December.
hot, for some reason, you don't want to stay in your bed anymore because the sheets don't feel as comfortable. But then when it's nice and cold or cool, it just feels nice and welcoming. So I think that's the reason why.
I think the weather is as warm as how your colors look today, which is
Thank
really.
you. And if
I
you don't
love
notice, I don't wear dresses these days when I have no sleeve or stuff because it's just too hot. I'm just no, we wearing short dresses because it hot, mama. It caliente, mucho caliente. Ooh,
So caliente.
mucho.
Right. What's caliente, and hopefully it will get distributed like hot bread, is this partnership that the Belize Tourism Board and the government of Belize have done to provide a subsidy for tour operators. I mean, we've known and we're having this conversation every time that we're saying gas prices have gone up and it's affecting every single industry, every single person. So the Belize Tourism Board has taken this into consideration. So they, like I said, they formed a partnership with the government of Belize to have a subsidy that can cap up to $1.5 million that can last up to 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's a process that BTB has started within the last 2 weeks. So basically, they put a call out there for all tour operators to go ahead and submit their applications to BTB to be part and a recipient of this fuel subsidy, because they're saying everybody plays a key role in tourism. We're aware that everybody does different things within the tourism industry, and they're conscious that the cost of fuel might be affecting your productivity, might be affecting the revenue that comes into you. So they're doing this to ensure that everybody at some point benefits.
And I know right now
From the
tourism
tourism industry.
specifically
Yeah.
is kind of slowly getting its way back up. You're seeing a lot of people book more tours. And so they're saying that, there are some tours that are going to be a little bit cheaper for the ones that are not in Alton Ha as compared to San Antonio. Then there are also the marine tours as well. So they're saying everybody should be able, all tour operators, licensed tour operators, please apply. They're also extending it to tender operators as well. And so there's a number 227-2420 that you can be able to call in and have that whole registration process, or else you can also email at the Belize Tourism Board, board.org. You can also find this in our Channel 7 archive, guys, if you're looking for the exact information where they're talking about the details of it. So, from Friday, so.
Yeah. Yes.
The line is Friday to apply, yes. So,
Right. So,
as
and
we're
then
moving
also
right
you can
along.
find the information on their Facebook page, they said. So you can go, you can find the application forms. And go ahead. This is a really good opportunity for you to being able to benefit from this opportunity within the tourism sector. Moving on, so everybody's looking forward to lobster season, which opens on July 1st. However, something that has changed as of March 1st was the regulations as it regards to the size of lobster that is going to be extracted from the water. Basically, the fisheries department and the country in general is a signatory to OPESCA, which basically governs everything that has to do with fisheries, right? So one of the things that Belize signed on in the past had to do with the closing season. So we have been able to harmonize closing seasons within the region, saying that if it's the closing season here in Belize, it will be the same for Honduras and Mexico and that kind of thing. We have been doing really good at that, which started about 2 or 3 years ago. However, another requirement of being part of OPESCA was that the lobster size had to be regulated as well, right? So that was not implemented as yet. However, it took effect this year, March 1st. So basically, the lobster size has changed from 3 inches to 3.25 inches when it comes to whole lobster, and then there has also been a change in the weight of the lobster as well. So
it has to be, it's from 4 ounces to 4.5 ounces now as well.
4.5 ounces.
Yes, and so very specific when it comes to how you're supposed to be fishing. And I know, so what's interesting about the interview, they were mentioning that, well, fishers were mentioning that they think this is about going to be like a 15% loss and then it's going to balance out afterwards. But now the fishermen, the people, fishermen, women, and all of them are saying that this is about a 60% loss. And how they feel like there was even a great interview talking about the different weights when it comes to the 3.5 to the 3.25 to the 3 ounces and everything. But just the idea now that they're going to be losing out, they're saying how that the cost of gas and fuel in general to go out there is very expensive. And so now too, thinking, okay, our costs gone up. So are we going to really break even? Are we going to make anything out of this? Because we still have to abide by the new regulations, and these regulations can be stiff. But what the fishers are saying too as well, the fisheries operations are looking at the fact that this is going to allow the lobster more time to mature.
Right.
Because when you're taking the lobster out at those sizes as compared to allowing them to get a little bit bigger, it allows them to be able to develop more. So although right now in the short term it's going to be very stiff on people, it's going to be hard, later on they're going to be a lot more fruitful because lobsters are going to have that chance to reproduce properly and develop properly. So there's two sides where you can definitely see.
I am glad that you are highlighting that, which focuses on the sustainability of the fisheries industry. I know that at the moment the complaint is that we're going to be making losses due to the cost of fuel. Our catch that we're going to be bringing in is not going to be the same. People are looking forward to having, like a large amount of lobster for Lobster Fest. However, when we talk about sustainability of the fisheries industry, these regulations are important, as you rightly mentioned, Ren, to ensure that the lobster is able to mature, is able to reproduce for us to be able to have more for the future. The fishers that were interviewed, they were saying, my granddaughter wants to be a fisher folk eventually. So, and they're saying because of these regulations, then she might not be a fisher folk in the future. But I'm thinking, because of these regulations, she still has a chance to be a fisher folk in the future.
Because they're going to have that time.
Because the lobster is allowed to grow, is allowed to reproduce, for her to be able to, at some point, be part of this industry. What I've also had a conversation with some fisher folks and also people that are part of the fisheries conversation, and from my recall from being a marine researcher, is that for the last 10 years, there has been noted that lobsters are going deeper deeper rather than being in the normal area where they would find them. And the result of this has been due to sea levels increasing, to the warming of the sea temperatures as well. So the lobster are going deeper to cooler temperatures, which makes it harder for fisher folks to being able to capture. So you have to go deeper underwater, but you also have to go farther out at sea to being able to capture these lobsters.
So that fuel price to go up on it on. And I know a viewer was talking about how, this also can be stemmed to from the fact that there's a lot of time you see fishermen and fisherwomen that they bring in some small lobsters and they're selling it off. And people buy it, of course, because lobster not waste. But that also is a thing, because I've seen some I'm like, man, this lobster not developed, none at all. And there's a lot of times you see people where they're fishing and that's the lobster that they choose. Also, as Brandon was saying too as well, is this just really means that lobster prices going all the way up because they have to break even, they have to make a profit. So
Definitely.
they're going to be accounting in their fuel prices, they're going to be accounting in how much they're taking in because the pounds are definitely going to be smaller because they can't really find all of them that are going to be the 4 to the 4.5 ounces and so forth. So that just means that lobster going up, it's going to definitely be a leisure food, something where just like once in a while and all these things because
Right. And
We have to
I know like
make
there's
do
a
of
lot
what
of
is
people that are
happening.
saying like, it had to be the PUP that does this. But just again, reminding you that we have already signed to OPESCA a couple of years ago. So now we're implementing the regulations that come by us being beneficiaries of being part of this organization. So PUDP, whatever would be in power, this would still
it
come
has to because
in
when you're
effect.
signed on
Yeah.
to these things, you have to be able to uphold it. And again, I know a lot of the fishermen and the fisherwomen are just
Fisher folks, right?
fisher folks.
Yeah.
In general, they're just looking at the idea that, okay, this is going to be 10 times harder for me to go out and fish. But let's remember too as well about the sustainability that this comes with. I know a lot of times the grass does seem greener. It just feels like it's like something happening, something else just throwing off because when fuel prices got up, you're like, oh my goodness, I have to go farther out. This is really costly. You're thinking, okay, lobster season is coming. I'm going to make some money because lobster always sell. People always want that. And now it's like they're restricting me. But let's also remember too, if you want your family members, your generation, your legacy to live on too as well, we also have to be sustainable because when we're taking these lobsters out at a little bit less matured way, this allows them to reproduce properly and to really be able to develop. So
Right.
with all that, let's just think about those positivities. And I know the minute right now it's hard looking at it, but let's see how we can be innovative. Let's see how we can work it out. And also, for the public out there that are not fishing, that do not feel the burden of it, but are going to complain about the prices, please remember what the fisher folk have to go through. Please remember, because I don't like complaining about prices, and I hear you because everything they go up. But at the same time, too, as well, we also have to be mindful of the production costs, like what it takes to get these things to come into your
Right.
plate. So please be considerate and
Yeah.
mindful. And if you to talk about how the price to big, honey bun just no bite. Just
Yeah,
no bite.
and don't be instigators for people to go against this, like violate these regulations. Don't go be like, I'm gonna pay you some cash and you just bring me those smaller lobsters. Abide by the regulations as well. You play a key role in making our fisheries sustainable.
Definitely.
Right. Moving on to our next topic, Ren.
We had mentioned yesterday.
And on
just-
Monday, with Jules as well on the
Yes,
beef.
about Ambassador Alecis Rosado, how he had relinquished his role. However, he was still caught catching a flight and in a very important meeting that he was supposed to be. So they were wondering, is he still co-agent? There was nothing in the actual press release that he had actually put out about him not being co-agent, being co-agent. There is kind of like a foggy kind of thing where you can be able to say, is it not? I know you're relinquishing your roles, but that doesn't mean that you're giving up every single thing. And that's what people don't necessarily understand. And so many people were saying, I kind of just wanted to understand the full picture. Like, if you want to still keep him as a co-agent, then okay, sure, but just let us know. But it's been confirmed that he is, in fact, a co-agent. And
Co-agent to the ICJ.
to the ICJ, sorry, for just people, for context, in case people never know what the
Right.
co-agent to us. Guys, we all know that he's been on ICJ for Thy Kingdom Come. But yeah, just in case you didn't know. So he is presently at UK right now in some very hectic, serious, important meetings. And for people that are wondering, yes, he is still on that go there. Again, I hear people's cries just like, okay, if you are keep us co-agent for the ICJ, that's fine. But just let's paint the picture for us. Don't let us wonder what's happening, because again, that goes with the transparency and accountability. Because when you're hearing, well, the letter, the press release that came out, people are like, okay, he's giving up everything. He's just somebody focusing on
Right.
the charges that were faced at hand. But no, we're seeing him doing work, and people are just like, just be accountable for what's happening. Just let us understand the situation properly.
Yeah, and to understand the situation, it's important to go back and see where this all started.
Yeah.
He's charged for rape, right? So he's charged for rape, but and he relinquished his role as ambassador, but he's still a co-agent to the ICJ, right? So he did not get interdicted, if we can say that, because he's still fulfilling this role.
Yeah.
Which really makes me question if we're talking about the moral fiber, as people keep on saying, for many things that are developing within GOB. What's the moral fiber going on?
Remember, the way how it's set up a lot of times is things may or may not happen, and depending upon how good you do your role or who you know and all these different things, a lot of times you don't get a boot kick out. You normally get like at least slap on the shoulder and be like, you know, that kind of rough, you know, you shouldn't have me do that or whatever it is. But it's really different for certain people, and it all depends on the level of influence you've had, your power. All these different things are big factors into what happens, what repercussions come with you getting charged, you having any kind of issue with corruption, any single thing in general. Like, all of these come again with their little loopholes to how people see, I can make it maneuver this way because, you know, we need him for this, so we're gonna allow him to do this, or we need her for this, so we're gonna allow her to do that. So it makes you think too as well.
Yeah.
What we're gonna bend the rules for, or it's technically not necessarily bending rules because it says you may along the way. That's what Jules said, you know. Jules said on Monday, like, you may. So that word may, and I know lawyers out there wanna love that word.
I hear you completely where you're coming from, given his involvement in the Belize Guatemala territorial claim and the ICJ, right? He has been doing vast research, vast negotiations. So the transition from him to somebody else, really, it could have been like really untimely. So maybe that's why he's still fulfilling this role there. I mean, don't worry, we're gonna get the scoop and we're gonna
definitely find out
get more details on what's happening.
When it comes to this situation specifically, the reason why we don't go in depth is because, again, it's charged, it's alleged, it's not really something that has been proven, and like Jules says, it's the whole thing of being innocent until proven guilty, but then still also, this is still a charge, this is still something over your head. So like how we deal with this situation and showing, you know, is somebody's charged, what do we do after, especially when, you know, you're an ambassador, meaning you're representing the country. So, you know, your reputation is on display just as well as the country's reputation. So there's a lot to like dissect with it when it comes to this type of situation. There's a lot. Yeah. And we still have to wait to see what happens when court comes and all that situation. But if another one away there, he's at the UK right now dealing with the ICJ. So.
Right. And moving on, something that's happening this weekend, village councils elections are coming up.
Yes, that is May 15th.
May 15th.
There's 192 villages. So it's very interesting with village councils because, you know, they're small villages. So sometimes people just have like, so there's like a small village of 60 or whatever. It's like not necessarily a big village. And you still have to elect people because you have to, on that small scale, you still have to be governed then, right? What people are a bit upset about right now is just the way how this elections is kind of pushing towards it. It seems like you have to register your slate. And not only with the registration, like you have to like move from your area to go somewhere. Where exactly is the area that we're supposed to go?
Belize City.
Belize City, yes. And so if you did a PG and you have to go all the way to Belize City to register your slate and all these things, like the cost of that. And before it was never really, I would say, pushed or enforced, thank you for that word, yes, as before. So we're looking at that and seeing all these different things happening. Some of the villagers are saying, you know, it feels more political this time around as compared to before,
right,
where it's like, why do you need us to necessarily register under a certain thing where like we understand already who's running for the most part. And for people that are wondering, like for the most part, village councils are not necessarily always that political.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, the scale of which it is. You know, it's a small village.
It's just like govern the village. You're right. You know, like
they're a small village. It's like a community, really.
Yeah, the
so
scale
like
of governance is small.
So you don't have to worry about, like you see in the city, like we have a huge amount of people.
Right.
So like we already know people. We already like, it's a small knit
community. But the reason why it's politicized is the fact that this is used kind of like a thermometer to see what the current political traction is in the country. So you can see the level of involvement of these political leaders within the movements of what happens in village council elections.
Yeah.
And saying this is the opportunity for them to build the traction when it comes also to the general elections, which really, I mean, do we want to be micromanaging? Do you want to be involved in all of these spaces and
people
dashing out money and everything like that?
Dashing out money all the time. I mean, there's not they don't necessarily say sometimes that you're being UDP, UPP or so, but like, you know, if you wear the shirt and all these colors, there's like kind of hint towards where you stand and where your allegiance is. And again, if you're in a small village and you don't know who the PUP, you don't know who the UDP, it don't kind of cause that tension.
Yeah.
And it disrupts things because now we know who the NAR people as compared to the city a little bit bigger.
It's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens on May 15th, given the fact that there has been a lot of changes, a lot of hardship that had come.
Yes.
Post-COVID, new government leadership. And a lot of people are saying, we are kind of disappointed with the way the PUP is administrating the country. But also, if you look at the UDP and their current upside down, that, man, I don't think y'all are ready. So it will be interesting to see, right, what people feel about the current state of governance in Belize. So,
and what I have to say from a couple villagers that I did talk to, they vote more on character a lot too as well. Like they as compared to, like, you know, with general election. Yeah, no, it's cute because the thing is, again, you go back to community. So you know these people already, you know what they stand for.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just say everybody do that honey bun because of politics regardless, right?
I love when you call me honey bun. Right.
But that's the thing, they try to hint on, you know, go towards more character because they know these people, they kind of grew up with these people a lot of times, they've worked with these people, so you know where to get. So when you get Kevin, you know the essence of who Kevin is, right? As compared to saying, okay, I've worked with Renata before, and I was like, you know, I don't want to work with Renata. So it's a lot based more on character, but you know, the way how things go, well, that's what I want to get Dash. That's what I want to get Dash to as well. And we're going to see what happens. As we end up this Couch Talk,
let's remind you to exercise your duty and go out and vote on Sunday. And let's see how that goes.
No,
so, Ren,
definitely.
with that, we end our Couch Talk.
We do, and we have a sunrise. It's not from Jules. He has been kicked out. It is actually from Everett. He sent this to me this morning. He also sent Chantel, so like 3 different people. So, him and Wadi's show, it's gorgeous though. This is really gorgeous.
Everett, good job. I absolutely love this.
This is beautiful.
Yes.
This should be painted.
It matches your outfit, Ren.
It does. Like he was just thinking, you know what? I will match Renata.
Everett, thank you. Good job. You get a gold star for this.
Gold star and a bag of chips, but you know that'll be collected somewhere else.
Giving bag of chips all week.
I know. Just give up another like cholesterol right there for you. Anyway.
Right.
Without any further ado, guys, we'll be right back after this short commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be talking about the booster shots and the expiration of these, as well as what's happening with the increase in cases. Because like Kevin said, on Ghana, that shot on the sweet lips and the door, 1,000,001 things, and there's a little bit of a increase when it comes to cases in specifically Belize and Cayo. But we're going to talk a little bit more in detail for that when we get back. Stay tuned for the exciting conversation. We'll be right back.